Everyone, welcome back to the Flames War Battle Report. Again, we're going to be running a linked campaign and we're going to go down the historical route, so we're not going to be using units that are not present in the orders of battle for these campaigns. So this one I'm playing with my friend Tito. It's the River Assault linked campaign, but what we're going to do, we're going to run it around the Market Garden campaign because I don't have any Soviets yet. But it works well since there is quite a few rivers and bridges that were being fought over in that campaign, and it gives us quite a lot of options. For me as the Allies, I get to use American paratroopers, British armour, British infantry and British paras, but then I'll just have British paras with no armour, and Tito has plenty of choices. He has SS and regular Wehrmacht units, and pretty much most of the SS units in the new Waffen SS book can be used as well, such as the 9th SS, which we'll see today. And it's just a bit more fun being limited with your lists. And again, like the campaign I'm running with Tom and Lucas, we should start seeing some lists that won't normally be taken to tournaments, but nice themed and historical, so should be fun and interesting to watch. Okay, so the first mission in this link campaign is the Crossroads. So this one, the river is not so much central as you can see from the photo. This is taken from the book. I hope Battlefront don't mind, but it is promoting your product. And this is the book that I bought in the River Assault pack, and we'll see some of the things that comes in it. I think it's good. It's very similar to the D-Day terrain pack they did, so it's all the flat card terrain and a little booklet and a foldable mat that you can lay over your normal mat. I think it's quite nice, and obviously you've got all the missions then in that book ready. I think the missions are all in the the Soviet Bagration book as well. But yeah, so if you want to get it, I think the set is fairly cheap, and it seems to be good fun. I'll let you know when I've done the rest of the linked campaign with Tito. So yes, the mission is up here. 3 objectives in this one. As you can see, 1 gets placed by the defender, and then myself, the attacker, will be placing 2. So it should be interesting. Do have immediate reserves for the defender and an ambush, which is always good to have. Okay, so this is my list, and you can see a lot of American airborne, so I'm just going to theme this around a company of the 101st Airborne Division. Any regiment will be fine, that have already linked up with a Sherman troop. Just the 1 Sherman troop, the rest of the squadron has been held up on that single road, which is already proven tricky for 30 Corps advance. So the story behind this one is the Americans need to assault this town to gain the bridges. Ideally, they wanted to wait for more tanks. Only 1 troop has turned up, and then they found out that there are German panzers on the way, so they need to launch their assault now. All the platoons have been equipped with sticky bombs to deal with enemy armor, and they're at full strength. Luckily, thanks to the daylight drop and like the night drop with Overlord, they've all been able to regroup relatively easily, and they're at full platoon strength, and the jeeps are doing some recon as well. And I've taken a lucky card as well, because why not? Okay, so this is the infantry units of the formation. So 2 HQ teams, so that's 2 SMG teams, and then 3 full platoons. So each full platoon is standard is 7 rifle MG teams, 1 bazooka, a little mortar, and that is it. But first platoon has been equipped with 2 LMGs and an extra bazooka, and all the other platoons are equipped with 1 extra LMG and then 1 extra bazooka. So all the platoons have 2 bazookas, and as standard with this. So should be fairly decent against fending off German armour. Still in the formation, so we have 4 mortar teams, 4 Jeep 50 cal Jeeps, and 4 howitzers. So there are 5 artillery bases in this list. if you include the 3 little mortars in the platoons. So hopefully I can have a good coverage of templates with my ranged in markers from turn 1. And this is my allied support unit. So it's a Sherman troop, and it is 3 regular Shermans and 1 Sherman Firefly. And this is all the British have been able to support the Americans with in this battle. Hopefully it will be enough. And as mentioned with my command card, sticky bombs, these are taken 3 times, and then the lucky card. Taking it 3 times so each platoon can be equipped with 1. I don't want to have 1 platoon be the one without the sticky bombs and then have some panzers in their face. So if you don't know how to use it, so basically when you're in assault you declare you're using it and you get anti-tank 3, firepower 1 plus for your unit for that assault. So when you're dealing with tanks or half tracks, pretty good, and then pretty much the only way without bazookas to get hit Tigers or anything with top armor 2 in assault. Okay, so this is Tito's list. 9th SS, nice solid formation there of armored Panzer Grenadiers, excellent on their mobility. He has also got 6 Stummels, which are great against light and medium armor, and have also got a good base of MG fire on them as well. I think overall the armored Panzer Grenadiers, for their rate of fire and mobility, are great. He's also got a good recce element with 2 250 scout troops, and then he has 2 units of Panzer IVs, 1 SS and 1 Wehrmacht. No Tigers today because the Tigers are all tied up in Eastern Front, trying to stem the advance of the Soviets, and then the rest, a lot were lost in Normandy in the pockets where they got captured or broke down, and that's why no Tigers present today. But we do have the German Sherman in the form of the Panzer IV. Okay, so this is the infantry unit of his formation. So he has his HQ with 2 SMG teams and 1 half track, and then there's another armored platoon of 7 MG42 teams, and they are upgraded with Panzerfausts and have 4 half tracks. We then have a regular grenadier platoon with 7 teams and Panzerfaust as well. We also have 2 heavy machine gun teams, and they're accompanying transport in the form of the half track. Still in the formation, we have the 6 Stummels I mentioned. There are also 4 8cm half tracks and 3 Pak 40s. So there you go. So there's the element for dealing with more heavy armor, maybe not as heavy as a Churchill. And then you've got the Stummels are dealing with light and medium. And then you have the only artillery element in his list, the 8cm mortars. Here's the support element. So we have 2 250 scout troops. So 2 of these are armed with little cannons and the other one with MG. And then we have 2 4-tank platoons of Panzer IVs. The ones with the camouflage pattern will be the SS for today, and then the other ones will be the Wehrmacht ones. Okay, and then the 2 command cards for him. So the best infantry are equipped on the 2 platoons and the HQ. So that obviously changes their stats to careful, and they're all veteran then. The only thing it doesn't affect is their transport. So the transport is still aggressive. But if these guys need to go into assault, which most infantry teams are there for, it's harder to stop them with defensive fire, which is always good. I've tried assaulting with aggressive SS units before, so, and it was against Tito as well, and it did not end well. All the times I tried to assault that game, they never got in. Okay, so here's an aerial of today's map. I pretty much smacked down as much terrain as I could to give a really good feel of this town that is on the edge of this canal with the bridges. It's been shattered by artillery barrages and some bombing to help the American advances. They noticed the SS had taken a position in there. Me, as the Americans, will be advancing from the farm area and pushing in, and the deployment zone for the Germans is pretty much right to the left edge of that ruined church, going all the way down, so a little bit into the forests as well. So being able to occupy most of those buildings. So got elevated ground, so there's a lot to do. Kind of reminds me a bit of that episode of Band of Brothers. I keep going back to it with all these link campaigns I'm doing of the assault on Neunan. Obviously, no river involved there, but there were American paratroopers and some British armour in the form of the 11th Armoured Division. Can't remember off the top of my head what German units were present, but it does seem to have that feel where the Americans are walking into a nice prepared defensive position.
Okay, so we're all deployed. I'll go over the objectives. So this one is where Tito placed in the middle, and then I placed mine either end of the bridge. So I suppose you can say that my objectives are to capture this end of the bridge today, or early today, and then wait for reinforcements and artillery to gain footing on the other bank. Do have assault boats ready. I won't really need them today because everything I need is on this river, unless I want to go over here to push stuff away, which I doubt. So today's game, I need to hold this objective and one of these to win the game, and they don't become active until turn 6. So at some point I will have to deal with the reserves. So in this case, all the Panzer IVs are in reserve and the Pak 40s are in ambush. So Tito put his scouts on both flanks, so we have one here and then one parked in the street. Did do a little spearhead move with them, but 2 failed the cross check, and this is as far as they could go to my deployment zone, so not very far. 2nd Platoon SS Grenadiers are holding the centre, with the Stummels immediately behind them in cover. We're treating all the buildings as blocking terrain. I know this one is not really much left of this building, but we could say it's recently just come down, so there's a lot of dust and rubble, and it's also clarity for all buildings, so we can't just start changing our mind by different buildings, so we thought it'd be fair to do it like that. 8cm mortars are in this little courtyard back here, so some are poking out so they can spot, and the HQ is with them. 1st Platoon are mounted up in their half tracks, same as the HQ, and they're trying to hide as much behind this church as possible, and just the one is in the crater. The HMG team are in the attic and top floor of this building, and their half track is parked in this nice neat car park back here. And that is it for German deployment. You can see the ranged in markers are dotted around all over the place because I have plenty of them. So over to my deployment, I have 3rd Platoon on my right flank, and now their objective is to sweep around the town, hopefully brush past any German resistance, and then occupy the factory and apartment building to deny the Panzer IVs access to roll through the town. So they got bazookas and sticky bombs, so there's a possibility they can do that. The mortars are immediately behind them, scattered about, so they can range in on any sector of the town. 2nd Platoon are in the centre. Now their immediate mission is to sit and wait to see what his central grenadier platoons do. When they start moving and when they start getting beaten up a bit, hopefully they will start pushing forward to the church section and occupy the central objective. The HQ is in this building, so for now he will spot if needed, and he will also give rerolls to the mortar teams. The howitzers are in the courtyard, so again, like Tito's 8cm mortars poking around so they can see for themselves. Over on my left flank, I was able to do a spearhead, so I put my little jeeps here and they did a cross-country dash over here, and 1st Platoon is scattered around them. So I have my mortar over here so you can see either end of the battlefield, and the LMGs for support. Put the Shermans here, concealed in the forest for now. Maybe tempted first turn to try and have a few little shots at the visible half tracks over here. It's going to be 6s to hit because they are aggressive. Probably be the easiest way to get rid of some grenadiers early on. But I'll see what I feel like when I start rolling dice. And 1st Platoon's objective, similar to 3rd, they're going to go through here, occupy the buildings near the bridge, and hold off any tanks. maybe the slightly easier option for them, since there's only HMG teams here, and then we have the scouts behind, so maybe it looks at the moment that's just the slightly easier option. So I have first turn in this mission, and I wish Tito all the best luck, not too much I hope, and hopefully my elite paratroopers will not take too many casualties before they get into combat, so we'll see what happens. Okay, in movement, 3rd platoon has crabbed across the field and done a follow me, leaves them by here, just making their way towards the edge. And the only other platoon to move was 1st platoon. They did a tactical move 8 inches forward through the fields, trying to go behind the wall for some bulletproof cover for anything that comes through these buildings. And that is the movement for me, so now we're going into shooting. So to summarise my shooting phase, that was probably the most incredible turn of ranging in artillery I've ever had. I think only one team did not range in first time, but I ranged in 1st and 2nd platoon's mortars here, and I managed to get 2 kills, and these are re-rolling hits as well. My howitzers ranged in by here and killed one of the half-tracks. 2 others were taken out by Shermans. My mortars were already ranged in here, they did not do anything. I also managed to range in on the building here and pin the MGs, but then I managed to kill one of the MGs with the rifle teams firing across here, which is incredible. And then in my assault step I did a successful shoot and scoot with the Shermans, and all but one managed to go back, but most importantly the Fireflies got back. So that's pretty much everything I hoped for going into that turn. So we're going now into Tito's turn for German's turn 1. Okay, in the motivation step, all the infantry teams rallied and the heavy machine guns rallied. They were 2 last stands, one for the half-track, because there's only 1 left, and for the heavy machine guns, which passed. So quite good on that front, but the only problem was the reserves have not arrived yet, so their SS are going to have to pick themselves up and deal with the paratroopers as they come in. Okay, so German movement, the HMG half-track has moved to here, so to engage the infantry without any bulletproof cover in the way. The scouts have done the same, so one is here, one is firing to the gap, and the other one is right by here. The infantry here dismounted, failed the blitz, but then Tito burnt his lucky cards, and now some are in this building and some are in the grey building in upper floor to get rid of the bulletproof cover again. So this platoon is going to get mowed down a bit. And then everything else armoured wise has moved over here to go for the guys in the fields. So bit of trouble over there for them, and that is it. So now we're going to German shooting. Okay, so in the shooting phase, this lot over here managed to kill 2 of my teams down here. One of them was a bazooka though, and I'm pinned. The mortars, 8cm mortars, couldn't do anything, so it wasn't too bad down here. It was on the other flank that was a bit of chaos. Between HMGs and the Panzer Grenadiers, I lost 7 teams, 2 LMGs, 2 bazookas and 3 rifle teams. And that's 1st platoon, so luckily they got beefed up, because otherwise there would be no one left. So that is it, so now we're going into my turn 2. In my motivation step, I successfully unpinned 3rd and 1st platoon. My only problem now is trying to figure out what to do with everyone, now that pretty much everyone is assaulting me or in quite a good position to mow me down, so I'm going to have to be very careful with everything. So let's see what I can do. Okay, in my movement step, 3rd platoon have moved up, 1 team has gone into the forest, so he might be able to assault a half-track, a scout half-track. 1st platoon dug in, but I had to use my lucky card to do it, and my Shermans just did a regular move doing their cross checks all of them passed to move forward into the woods so I can do some shooting. And that is it. So I'll show Tito what I've done, and then hopefully my artillery is as successful as it was last turn, and fingers crossed on that. Okay, with my shooting over here arranged in my howitzers, I managed to get one of the half-tracks, and if I could pin these scouts, they would be pinned, but no kills. My artillery has managed to pin his second platoon again, but no kills this time. And I managed to pin the gentleman in this building and the MG again. I managed to get rid of the half-track for the HMG, and that was all I managed to achieve. So now I'm going to try and do a little sneaky assault using the 250 scout car to cover my assault, and hopefully he won't be able to kill me with his cover fire. Okay, so I lost one team through defensive fire, but I managed to bag myself a 250 scout car, and that is it. So now we're going into German turn 2. Okay, so everything unpinned again apart from the HMG team this time, so that is a lot less firepower over here, but everything again past their last stand. So they're still in the fight, but no reserves, and ambush has not popped yet. The Pak 40s are a little useless, shall we say, in this urban theatre of combat, but we'll see what happens later on in the game. Okay, so in the movement, the scouts have moved to behind cover of these buildings, and basically the grenadiers have remained still. Over here, I'm going to get swamped. Third platoon has got a bit of a handful, so the Stummels have moved to mow them down. The HQ has moved around as well, and second platoon have left their trenches to engage them. Meanwhile, the scouts are also going for my mortar and the basically support elements of that platoon, and also my other mortars as well. So a bit of a lot of trouble there, but we'll see what happens in the shooting phase. Okay, so Tito finally managed to range in on the farm. With this, he's pinned down second platoon and the howitzers, but no casualties yet. Basically, I'm down to one jeep because they got mowed down by the guys in the building, and the HMG with his 2 shots. And then down here, I lost 2 more bases to the Stummels and the Grenadiers. And the last thing, these guys fired at my main mortars. But they got a hit, but luckily he shrugged it off, and that is it. So now we're going to the assault step with most likely assault's going to happen, so this is going to be a bit dangerous for my guys. Okay, so the assault in here, I only managed to bag myself one SS team, but third platoon with the successful assault over here is just down to one team, so they're last standing. So I'll probably have to do a Hail Mary, go for them, trying to get that one assault out of them, hopefully. And that's it. So now we're going into American turn 3. So for my motivations, everything rallied, so that was good, but then I failed both my last stands. So my poor jeeps have gone, and third platoon, so I never got a chance to use their sticky bomb, so that's a bit of a shame. So now I have my movement, and I got plenty to do, so everyone's got to do something, and I need to get rid of a few guys, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so in my movement, first platoon has moved up, tried to do a follow me, but it was unsuccessful. Second platoon has moved over to engage the scout cars, and then my Sherman might be able to pick off a few of the Stummels. And that is it for my movement, no more movement. So I'll just have to try and do my best with everything else that I've got, so we'll see what I can do. So shooting was dominated by my artillery over here, didn't really achieve much. Got a little bit better over here. I actually managed to bail a Stummel with the howitzers, and I also bailed the half-track, the HQ half-track with the Stummels, and I pinned this platoon but with one of my little mortars. 2 Stummels have been blown up by my Shermans, and my bazookas in this building here. I put them in the elevated ground to cancel out the concealment. Managed to bail a scout half track. So that's quite good for me for the assault, because no defensive fire will be nice. So we'll see what happens in the assault phase. And I've also got another assault over here. Only the unit leader is going into a machine gun and a grenadier team, so luckily the rest of the terrain will help him out. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, so in the assault I got 2 hits, didn't kill it, but then Tito failed his last stand, so he got left for dead and then the other one drove away. The assault over here, I did get defensive fire from the grey building, which did stop the assault, and he died. Which is a bit unfortunate, because I might have been able to get that HMG. Who knows if I would have been able to get him if I got in. So that is me. So now we're going to German turn 3, and we'll finally start seeing their reinforcements turning up. Okay, so in the motivation, the Stummel did not get back in, but everyone rallied and all the last stand tests were passed again. So, and also biggest problem again is the Wehrmacht Panzer IVs are in, so next turn the SS will be in. So the unit leader is here because he did a follow me, but the others were not keen and ended up by there. So that is where we end it. So now we're going into the movement phase for the Germans, and they'll be mopping up the rest of my stuff, no doubt, because the Americans are unable to penetrate into the town. Okay, so movement. The Stummels have moved back to get out of range, out of sight of the Shermans. The Scout 250 is just going to go on a lone charge to try and get rid of the mortars. The Grenadiers have moved back to cover the objective, and that is it for movement. So now we're going into shooting. So Tito's artillery is starting to prove very effective now. So I lost 2 howitzers in one go then, so that is really bad amount of reroll now. And I also got second platoon pinned. First platoon is just down to 2 bases, so they're going to be last standing now. And my last stands this game have not been great with the paratroopers. They're not keen on taking this town. Might have to pull back and just carpet bomb it a little bit more, and then maybe try and assault it again another day. But we have an assault with the scout car. There's 2 bazookas and some rifle teams here to help out, but who knows what will happen. Okay, so the assault. My defensive fire worked. I hit it twice with the bazookas, and the bazookas did the job. They blew them up. So we're now going into American turn 4. Okay, so I managed to rally everything, but my ability to inspire my troops to fight on is not improving. So first platoon have had enough. In fairness to them, they have taken a lot of punishment, so I'll let them off with that. But yes, so now we're going into my movement, which is easy now because I have less to move. So thanks, Tito. That is helping me out somewhat. So we'll see what I get up to in my movement. So my movement, second platoon in the HQ is heroically charging through the centre of the battlefield, supported by the 2 Shermans I managed to get out of the woods. And that is it. So now we're going into the shooting again. Okay, so my shooting, the only successful thing I managed was this smoke barrage. Everything else, basically, I couldn't kill anything or pin anything. So hopefully we'll start seeing some stuff running away from T-Dog, so he doesn't have such an advantage next game, because that's what I'm thinking about now. But I can still maybe go for a cheeky objective, but we'll see what happens. So now we're going into German turn 4. So motivation steps again, no last stands failed, so that's awesome. And we also have the Stummel back in. The SS Panzer IVs have turned up, and again, no follow me for them, so still stuck on the bridge for now. So they'll get into the movement, and Tito can start wrapping up my poor parachute company that have failed all their objectives at the moment. Okay, so in the movement, the Grenadiers have fully occupied this terrace house, and the Scouts have done a dash and a follow me to here. This remaining half track has moved to here, went through the craters to get more MG shots on the infantry. All these Panzer IVs got stuck in these craters, and also failed the Blitz as well, but some of them can get shots on the Shermans, I think too. Everything else is swung around this forest to support the central objective, and now comes the pain. So all these are clumped together, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so in the shooting, the Pak 40s managed to finish off 2 Shermans, and pretty much everything else fired at 2nd platoon, but I lost 4 bases, 2 of the bazookas. They are pinned though. If 1st platoon had managed to survive this much punishment, it would have been a bit better, but there we go. So now we're going into American turn 5, and just going to try and kill as many German units before I decide to pull my troops back and regroup. Okay, so in the motivation phase, my HQ rallied, 2nd platoon are not rallying, so that didn't help, boys. That did not help at all. So we're now going into the movement phase. So in the movement, my HQ moved into the woods. I did a follow me, made sure not going more than 10 inches in my movement. But the XO is not interested in it, so the HQ is just going to have to do a little run and try and get rid of a Stummel and see if I can do anything. And we'll see if I can dislodge anything. Hopefully I can get in there so I can have no defensive fire other than the main guy. But it's down to the shooting now, and let's see what I can get rid of. Right, so in my shooting, I hit a few things, but I did not kill anything. My Shermans missed everything completely. I direct fired my howitzers and they missed everything. Got a few hits on the Pak 40s, and that is it. So I will try this last little assault and see what I can do. Okay, so my HQ got killed. I did manage to get in, but and I got a hit, but no kill, and then I got counterattacked and he died. So, with me being nowhere near the objectives and dinner on the table, Tito did his 2 last stands on his HMG and the half-tracked for victory conditions, and they both stuck around, so nice. They're very good. So basically, next game, I have to put 2 units in reserve, and yes, so Tito, I'm guessing your man of the match will probably be your heavy machine gun team.
Exactly. The crazy one. The crazy man of the match. I can say he did like a lot of damage to her guys. So.
I think my man of the match is probably going to be my artillery in turn 1, and well, I think for the fact that I had 3 plus last stands that I failed in a row, it didn't help, and your guys were just happy to stick in the town and fight it out. But yeah, thanks, great game. As I said, I'm just happy to play on the table, and it's just you can see my plan was the 2 prongs, and then the centre was going to hold, because I was waiting for you to weaken your centre and then they were going to move forward, but because your grenadiers stayed there, I think I should have kept them going forward, because then you wouldn't have triple teamed 3rd platoon. But we don't like 3rd platoon anyway. They're weirdos. But yeah, so yeah, it just ended up couldn't quite get it.